All right, everybody. Welcome to the Section Y White podcast. My name is Harb. I'm joined here by Negative Nease. This past week, the number four ranked Tennessee Volunteers traveled to Fayetteville, Arkansas, and got downed 19-14 by the Hogs. Um, Crowd storming ensued. Absolute heartbreak as five of the top 11 of the AP poll in week five, six, whatever week it is.
I think it's five.
Five of the top 11 go down. Um, I watched it from Strawberry Plains. Niece, where were you for the game?
Well, I was in the Granite State in Arkansas. I
Did
was
you watch,
in. I
did you
was.
watch it from Walmart?
I saw a lot of Walmart signs from where I was, but no. I might as well have watched it from there. Actually, I don't know why I just called Arkansas the Granite State. That's New Hampshire.
I was about to
I
say, I was
knew
like,
that
I don't think
wasn't.
I've heard that one.
I knew that wasn't right when I said it. But people that know me know I'll just say anything. Um, so disregard that you that you heard me call Arkansas the Granite State. I'm trying to figure out what it is called. So I'll figure that out and come back to us. But yes, I was at Donald W. Reynolds Razorback Stadium. Um, over in the corner right above the band. Pretty good seats. There was actually, I think, an ESPN microphone right above us or right in front of us. So I hope it didn't pick up anything me or my uncle or Dr. Higginbotham said. Um, we'll get to the game in a minute, but knocked another stadium off my list. I've only got or SEC Stadium. One of them has an asterisk by it. I brought that up with some people this week, Harbin. Is different opinions on your stolen valor comment about Oklahoma, but that's another issue for another time. But I've got Ole Miss, Mississippi State, and now Texas to go. So I've been to every other Southeastern Conference stadium at some point or another. So um, had a good tailgate. My uncle's former dental school classmate was out there, and his son is actually the starting. I think last year he was left tackle. I think they've moved him to right guard. He was actually out. He's been out for a while with injury, so he didn't get to play. Number 75. Golly, his name's slipping me. It's late. We just got back from Arkansas. We had a long travel day, but um, he was there and invited my uncle and us to come down on the field. I really didn't want to go down on the field after the game because obvious reasons we lost. But I went down there and kind of looked around. We stood in the end zone where Arkansas scored their go ahead touchdown. So I guess Harbin will talk about the game. Why not at this point? Let's
I
just
mean,
get it out. Let's rip the band. Just rip the band-aid off.
that's what the people are tuning in for.
Yeah, I'm sure they are.
Yeah.
I still haven't found what the nickname is for Arkansas, by the way. I don't think I'm going to.
Well, Missouri's the show me state. Maybe Arkansas is the show these state.
The Walmart state. How about that?
How about the show these presented by Tyson Foods?
Yeah, they
Uh,
had Tyson Food and Walmart logo on the
God, we
field.
lost to a team that has a Walmart logo and a Tyson chicken logo on opposing 25-yard lines. Nice.
Is that not incredible? I mean, people made fun of us for having a grocery store on our basketball arena and a gas station travel center on our football field, but Walmart and Tyson Food is a step below that. Fake chicken. I
I
mean, I don't
know.
know what else to say.
All right, I'm gonna get this out of the way early. I know Arkansas fans are gonna find this on YouTube
Oh, they will.
Twitter, one way or another, Arkansas fans are going to be listening to this right now. Congrats to you guys. Y'all have went through a lot, a ton. I mean, more than we can count of one score losses. Congrats to you guys. Y'all whooped our ass for 60 minutes, or the better part of 60 minutes. Um, y'all deserve to win that game. And to be honest with you, you should have won by more than what you did. Um, just to be point blank, if Arkansas wouldn't have gotten their own way as much as they did, they would have won this game by at least 14. And I think that's Arkansas's fans' grievance with Sam Pittman. I think that's Arkansas's fans' thought process on why they lose so many close games. They shoot themselves in the foot so much, which is something that we can relate to, obviously. Um, I mean, just in the first half, there was two fourth downs they went for that we stopped, missed field goal. We were down 3-0, and it felt like we were down 17-0. Would you agree with that? Was that the vibe in the stadium?
Yeah, I think I tweeted at halftime, how are we only down 3-0? Because they obviously they missed a field goal that would have made it 6-0, but they really had an opportunity. That game should have either been 10-0, 13-0, or 17-0, I felt like.
For sure. Well,
Maybe
they, well,
obviously maybe could have been more, but that's where I thought anywhere from between 10 and 17 is what the score should have been.
Arkansas's last full possession in the first half, I believe, it was like a 35-40 yard touchdown pass that they dropped in the end zone, and then
Yes.
they end up going for it on 4th and 1, and we stuff them. So moment in time, I was like, that's a momentum shift for us. We get ball at halftime. I was like, okay, everything's right in the world. And then we scored twice in the third quarter, and we go up 14-3. And I'm like, okay, like this is where we quit playing with our food. Josh Heupel made some halftime adjustments. Here we go. And then the next thing you know, they score the last 16 points of the game. Arkansas wins 19-14. Every single human in Fayetteville, Arkansas ends up on the field. And all of a sudden, Tennessee fans are in panic mode headed into Florida week.
Yeah,
May
it's
I say one,
fun.
may I say one more thing?
Oh, sure, go ahead. I'm sorry.
The trap game trapped.
It did.
I
You
said it
know,
back in July.
I heard I think Herb Street said this, and I heard a couple others that they said if the game was last weekend, they 100% would have said it was a trap game. But with the game being a week after a bye, Tennessee coming off an emotional win, they had a bye, they had an opportunity to, get all that out of their system, take a break, get healthy, work on some things, and it still was a trap game. I mean, Dylan Sampson said it after the game. I think I read a quote from him that said, we didn't do some things very well during our time off and during prep. We were a little lackadaisical, and I'm paraphrasing here. Don't know the exact wording, but and it showed up. I mean, they looked unprepared in some facets of the game. They looked rattled at different times of the game, players and coaches. Um, Attention to detail was not there. Tennessee had, I think, 10 penalties. Felt like they had about five more than that. They played behind the sticks most of the night on offense. Um, the game plan was super vanilla. I think the defense played pretty well. I mean, they had some moments. It's kind of the motto or the MO under Tim Banks is bend, don't break. And they bent a little bit, didn't break. And give them credit. They bowed their neck, forced Arkansas to go for it on fourth down a bunch and kick some field goals, and it worked out for the most part. And the offense didn't help him out. I've been begging for 2 years for the defense that we have now. And I said, once we got it, we have this offense. Who in the world is going to stop this team? If they have a remotely competent defense. And we've got it and then some right now. But the offense has taken not just one step back, it's taken multiple steps backwards. And I know we'll get into it more, but um, I don't know what's going on, but they got a lot to figure out this week because that was an atrocious. And as I said it, tweeted it, and then I heard Basilio say after the game, that was a piss poor effort on offense last night. Um, and I also didn't. We were talking after the game, like I wasn't as mad as I thought I was going to be if we lost. Um, and I've heard that from several different people. Like there was a boy I took a picture of him. There was four guys sitting above us. They looked like they were either in college or just out of college a few years, maybe your age, Harb. And he was just sitting there despondent, like staring at the ground. And I used to do that. Like after these games, I used to be like that. I don't know if it's because I'm older or what, but I just kind of just walked around last night and I was like, I really don't want to be down here on this field, meeting Patrick and all them. And like, I appreciated being down there, but I just did not want to be down there. We just lost, and the crowd, Arkansas stormed the field, and we lost the game we probably shouldn't have lost. We talked in the offseason when we previewed it that Arkansas wasn't very good. Well, they're better than everybody thought they were. I'll just give it to you straight out. They're better. I mean, that is a decent football team. They'll go to a bowl game. They'll win 6, 7, 8 games this year. That's great. But, that is not a game a lot of people had as a loss. I know you had it as your trap game. Um, I just did not see this one coming. And I think the thing that bothers me right now is the way we're playing all of a sudden. Just that second half on in Oklahoma, we have just gone into a shell offensively. The wide receivers can't get open, the line can't block. Our quarterback looks like he's a nervous wreck out there. His feet are Peyton Manning happy feet out there, as Corso said years and years ago. Running the ball, right? Every time they ran the ball, I got 3 or 4 yards of pop. I hadn't seen what Dylan Sampson had, but um, you know,
I'll go ahead and say it. Dylan Sampson looks like a Bugatti at Old Ben Franklin Motors in this offense right now. He does.
he did.
Last night, even with the lack of ability to throw the ball down the field, he had 22 carries for 138 yards and 2 touchdowns. He single-handedly kept us in that ball game. Well, that and the defense. And be 100% honest with you, defense didn't play great. I mean, I would give him a B minus.
Yeah.
Well, with what we think they are, I'll put it that way. We made Taylor Green look like Michael Vick while he was healthy. I mean, going into this game, he completed less than 50% of his passes, I believe. And at one point, I want to say he was like 14 of 16. Like, like every time there was a third down, somebody was wide open and he was hitting. I mean, obviously he made plays in the pocket, got outside the pocket and made legs with his feet and then found somebody open. Don't get me wrong. He's a great player. Um, but I mean, this Armstrong kid had 9 catches for 132 yards. Who the hell's guarding him?
Nope.
You
Didn't look
know?
like. I mean, see that first possession of the game, they had a third down and there was a guy. I get it looked like they were in some kind of zone. I mean, he was wide open. There wasn't anybody within 10 yards of him.
No, it was the tight end on drag route
Yeah.
because they ran like a kind of a mesh play,
There was
and
a
and
there
the
was
two
a
linebackers got mixed up, and both of them went with the guy going the opposite way, and then that side of the field was just completely wide open.
Are you talking about when we had him pinned back at the goal line and
No, no,
or is that
this
a different? Okay.
this play was on like their own 40 or 45,
Gotcha.
and it was third down, and it kept the drive going, and it was the opening drive where they kicked the field goal.
Harbin, let me ask you this. We got a lot to talk about on this, so we'll just keep it moving here. What is your thoughts? I know we had some, not you and me individually, but our group text last night during and after the game. We'll start with, and he was not the whole problem last night. Let's just get that out of the way right out of the gate. Nico Iamaliava, what's your thoughts on him right now and how he's playing?
Well, my viewpoint on him today, as opposed to 3 days ago, is definitely different. Um, he didn't play well, and people that are listening to this are gonna get mad at me. They're gonna say, "Oh, he's a redshirt freshman. He's 19 years old. Guess what? He's making $8 million. If I got $8 million, I'd be able to take some criticism too."
Mm-hmm.
17 to 29, 158 yards. And I hate to say it, a lot of the naysayers with him coming out of high school was he's a 7-on-7 merchant. Like he looks good in sweatpants type deal. And by God, last night you could tell that 7-on-7 is where he's comfortable because he just doesn't really know when to get rid of the football at this point in his career. I have full confidence that he'll get there eventually with more games. I mean, this was the sixth game that he started in college. But there was, and I'm not even going to get to the final play of the game yet, but there were so many times where the protection wasn't bad. I mean, the O-line play was bad last night. I'll get that out of the way.
Yes.
But there were certain plays in the game where the protection was pretty good. And even if somebody is not necessarily open, I mean, he would take a sack 7 seconds into the play. Hell, if somebody's not open in 7 seconds, they ain't going to be open. Like, you're either going to have to run it or you're going to throw it away. So that's frustrating with me. Um, but yeah, he didn't play good. The game's not solely on him. I think the majority of the blame falls between Nico, the O line, and Josh Heupel. And in my opinion, I'm putting most of the blame on this game on Josh Heupel. And that's because we have a sample size at this point. We're in year 4. And do you want me to go ahead and go into my analytical studies?
Yes. Ooh, you're getting analytical on me here. I like it.
Because a lot of people didn't like these points last night, so I figured I'd back them up. Let's look at road games under the Josh Heupel regime. Okay. So let's go back to 2021. His first ever road game was at Florida, which you can say, oh, we have the scaries at Florida, whatever. Lose 38-14. We were probably undermanned, but if you remember, 3 years ago, there was a fourth down play where we had a chance to legitimately, I think, I think it was to tie it up. I think we were only down one score,
Yeah,
or it was get it to one score, or
something like that. Yes.
right. And Jimmy Callaway, I think his name was, dropped the ball. Whatever. I'll give him a halfway pass on that game. Florida was number 11 at the time. Then after that, and that was at 7 p.m. by the way. I mentioned
I
the
take
times
it
because
there's gonna be a
there's
trend
a
here
theme
with.
here. There's a theme here. The very week after that, play at Missouri at noon. That was a game where we kicked the shit out of Missouri. We dropped 62 on them. After that, you go to number 4 Alabama. We actually hung around for 3 quarters in that game. Alabama pulled away. That was just a talent deficit. I'll give you that one. After that was at Kentucky. We don't lose to Kentucky, but it was 45-42. Night game. Alabama was night game too. Uh, that was the last night game in 2021. Let's go to 2022. 2022 was at Pittsburgh. 3:30 game. If you remember in that game, how many were we down early?
We actually talked about this in the truck or on the airplane coming home today. We were down, I think, was it 17-3 or 21-3? I can't remember. We were down multiple scores. We did not play well that game, and It kind of reminded me of yesterday's game, but with a little more offense. And I think Pittsburgh was maybe a tick better that year than Arkansas probably is,
Number
but
17 at the time.
correct.
I don't know what they finished at, but they were 17 at the time.
Correct. But that game yesterday was very similar to that Pitt game 2 years ago that me and Thomas and Patrick went to.
Correct. And in that Pitt game, play calling was fairly conservative. Defense bailed us out in overtime. Am I wrong in that?
I mean, we took more shots. We took more shots down the field in that game, but yes, it was very
Right.
vanilla.
And then the best road game of the Josh Heupel regime is next at LSU. We were there. Absolute dogging. Noon game. See here. Next one was at Georgia when it was 1-1. Prime time CBS. Final was 27-13, but you were there, I was there. It was not that close.
No.
We got drilled. Then the next one that we were both at South Carolina. Do I need to say any more about that game?
No.
7 p.m. kickoff. Then at Vanderbilt. Doesn't count.
Doesn't count.
2023, last year. First road game of the year at Florida. The Scaries. 7 p.m. kickoff. 29-16. Play calling was atrocious in that game.
Mm-hmm.
Next road game at Alabama. Had a 13-point lead at halftime. Threw it all over the field in the first half. Joe Milton had 230 yards at halftime, I think. What did we do in the second half? Run it up the center's ass every play. Lose by 14. 3:30 CBS kickoff. Very next game at Kentucky. Scrape by win. 33-27. 7 p.m. kickoff. Next road game at number 14, Missouri. 3:30 kickoff in November. It got dark early in that game. 36-7 loss. And then this year, Oklahoma. Defense dominated. They didn't have a quarterback. Went extremely conservative in the second half. And then that was a 7 p.m. kickoff or 7:30, whatever it was. And then we get to Arkansas this week. 7 p.m. kickoff on the road. There's a trend. There's an absolute trend. Josh Heupel coaches not to lose on the road, especially when he has the upper hand. There's a few games early in the regime where we had no business winning that he was very aggressive with because why not? But ever since we've been established, I'd say the last 2.5 years, in games on the road that are either a toss-up or we're expected to win, Josh Heupel coaches not to lose as opposed to trying to win the game. And I love Josh Heupel. I do. But every coach of all time has at least one flaw. And that's his biggest shining flaw right now. For whatever reason, to what it may be, we seem to be extremely dominant at home under Josh Heupel and scared out of our mind when we leave Knoxville. And I don't think it's a coincidence that we played the way we did in our third straight week away from Neyland Stadium. Kirk Herbstreit can talk about we had a bye week, whatever. That was another week away from Neyland. Now, I think that affected us. I think it affected Josh Heupel. He went in there. I'm not going to pretend like I know what went through his head. but I can tell you what I seen with my eyeballs and heard with my ears. Uh, he didn't care how ugly it was. He was just praying we won, as opposed to just trying to beat the opponent into the ground. Like, remember the nameless, faceless opponent speech he gave? I'm not buying that. I'm not. I don't think it was overlooking getting to Florida and Alabama. I think it's just a trend of he's not comfortable coaching on the road. And you see that in the play calling. The play calling's way different on home and away. I don't have those numbers right in front of me. They'll be really hard to find, but I mean, it's the eye test at this point.
Uh,
It's
yeah,
so much
I
more.
was about to say you don't need numbers to
Yeah.
see what I mean. I think I said it last night to my uncle there in the stands. I mean, it's like any pass we threw was a safe, conservative sideline wide receiver screen almost, or an out route to the boundary or a run. That's all we did all night. And we, I can't even talk. Like, where's the creativity from the? And I'm jumping around here a little bit. Where's the creativity in this offense that Josh Heupel's known for? And we have not seen him at home against any type of competition this year. It's been Chattanooga and Kent State. And yeah, they look great. I mean, they won 69-3 and 70 to whatever. I don't even remember the score. But it you can't go on that. Like, we'll learn a lot about this team this week. Uh, but I want to see like how we come out and attack Florida this week from the offensive side of the football. But then I'm going to have questions like, why? Why did we play? I guess that's my question to you is, you said all that and it sounded like you kind of answered this question just saying, but why do we play like that on the road? I don't get it. I mean, Josh Heupel's been a head coach for he's not a new head coach. He's been a head coach for several years now. Um, that atmosphere last night was not one of the loudest places I've ever been. Williams-Brice Stadium was way louder than Razorback Stadium. Of course, I've not been to the two Mississippis, but A&M was louder, Florida was louder, Georgia, Auburn, Alabama. I would even put Kentucky, which I don't give Kentucky any credit for anything. I would put Kentucky and Arkansas on the same level as loudness of the stadium. That was not an intimidating atmosphere. I'm not ripping on Arkansas, which if they see this podcast, they probably will at some point, like Florida fans did last year after we lost. I'm not ripping on Arkansas fans. They were great hosts this past weekend. There was a couple jackasses that ran their mouth to us after the game, but that happens in Knoxville. But that was not an intimidating atmosphere. To me, it was not an intimidating atmosphere. I can't imagine it was to the players, but they sure looked like it. Maybe it was to them, but there's something about this program and this coaching staff. They coach differently, they play differently, and they must prepare differently for road games. I don't get it.
It, it's it's beyond, well, for lack of a better term, it's beyond my pay grade, but evidently it's beyond my IQ level as well. Because Josh Heupel at the University of Tennessee right now is 31-13.
Pretty good record.
And if my math is correct, he is 9-8 in true road games. So anywhere where it's home or neutral, he's 22-5. Considering what he inherited, that's incredible. But of those, I think 8 road losses, you really should have only lost probably 4 of them, maybe 3, definitely. The first Florida game, the first Alabama game, and Georgia in
Mm.
22. Those I ain't gonna say a word about. The other five or whatever I mentioned, like, and you can say the Alabama game last year, like, oh, you can't blame him. No, you damn sure can blame him. We were up 2 touchdowns, and you tried to outsmart Nick Saban. Like that's gonna work. Now I'm so worked up that I'm talking about shit from last year.
Oh,
It's just,
we're gonna talk more about last year in a minute, but go ahead.
just frustrating, man. Like, and I know what you're getting at. Last year, this was the play calling, and everybody said, "Oh, the play calling's like this because it's Joe Milton. He's not competent enough to do what Hendon Hooker did." Well, now we have the so-called Polynesian Prince, which I said as well. I was told in early August that the full playbook was open. I know for a damn fact this ain't the full playbook, unless he threw half the sheets in the shredder 2 years ago, which I know he didn't. What is it? Is it the fact that does he not have confidence in pass protection and he doesn't want to get him killed? I don't think that's the case because on a lot of passing plays, which I believe it was Day Day that brought this up, it's a pretty good point. On a lot of the deep shots that we try to throw, we have to do max protection. So there's limited options.
Right.
Obviously, that aids the things. So the O line play may have a little bit to do with it, but the running game's not really struggling because of the O line play. It just doesn't make any sense because this is I think our run game is just as good as it was in 22, maybe better. And it's not really opening up much for the passing game, which we were a run first program. A lot of people that don't watch us a ton will try to tell you differently. We're 1,000,000% a run first program. And I'm trying to make sense of it.
So I'm going to defend Heupel here for a second. So indulge me here. I think, well, maybe not Heupel as much as Nico. So Nico did not play well last night. That's obvious. But I think he has some things going against him here. I don't think, I shouldn't say I don't think. I know the offensive line play right now is not what it should be in pass protection. I think they're doing a sufficient job in run the run game. They're not as good as they need to be in the run game, but it's okay. It's fine. They're running just well enough to you would think to keep people honest. But pass protection is a problem.
Wait,
Um,
wait, hang on. Going into the Arkansas game, we had the number one rush offense in the country.
True, we did.
I understand. I mean, a few of those games we didn't play anybody, but first 4 games, not a whole lot of people play anybody. We were running it down people's throat.
True, we
Let's
were.
just let's just get that out of the way. And we ran the ball pretty damn well last night. We did. I don't know what the team stats were, but I don't know. It's just
Well,
it's a
so you got that going on. So let's take the running game out of it. They're not pass blocking very well at all. Pass protection is an issue. It seems starting with the Oklahoma game, we didn't see that versus Kent State and Chattanooga. Obviously, you saw a little hint of it against North Carolina State, but not very much. Really came to light against Oklahoma, and we thought, well, we're missing Lance Hurd. John Campbell Jr. went down. We're missing our two starting tackles. Let's give him a pass. And I don't think it was all on them last night, but they did not give Nico a ton of time to throw the football. But when they did, he missed on some passes. He was late throwing the football to several receivers that ended up being completed passes. He was even late on them. But I don't feel like he's getting a lot of help around him right now between his offensive line, between his wide receivers. Um, and I'm not Josh Heupel. I'm not an offensive coordinator. I'm not a head football coach. I don't think he's helping him out right now a whole lot. It's like he's from that second half on of that Oklahoma game, it's like he's trying to protect him. It's like he's trying to keep like we don't want to lose Nico's confidence here. So let's woe this back. Let's play good defense. Let's run the football. Let's get out of town with a win. Chad Grubb said it last night in text message. This is like Philip Fulmer all over again. He said it a couple weeks ago. I'm fine with that as long as we win. That's great. Philip Fulmer won 9 and 10 games every year and competed for the SEC. Let's just say what it is, Chad. That's what happened. Whether you believe that or not, Philip Fulmer competed for the SEC every year and he won 8 to 10, sometimes 11 games. Um, but I just feel like they're kind of holding him back a little bit. And we've seen it before here under different regimes with different quarterbacks where they slowly bring him along. But that's Philip Fulmer. That was 25 years ago with T. Martin and Casey Clausen and those guys. The only time it didn't happen under Fulmer is when he threw Eric Ainge and Brent Schaefer out there right from the get go. But that was because of injury. But anyways, I say all that to say is I don't feel like Nico is at a point in his career right now, and there's probably others that said this, but he's not right now. I hope he turns out to be, but he's not like I'm gonna come in and just lead you all down the field and take charge. He's not there yet. He's not ready. And I don't want to hear that if he would have been out there last year, we wouldn't have to worry about this. That's bullcrap. That is total bullcrap. He got a year under his belt to get bigger, stronger, faster, learn the playbook. Some freshman quarterbacks don't get that. Arch Manning did the same thing last year, and I didn't get to see how he did. If he did he even play? Did they play yesterday? I don't know. Anyways, he's kind of in the same boat as Nico. He's getting to come in now and start some games. That's different circumstances, but um, I was told, like you, Harbin, you must have talked to the same people I did, that we weren't going to have to watch a quarterback throw hash mark to hash mark, sideline to sideline to complete passes anymore. The last two, from the second half on, so for the last 6 quarters, we've rarely seen a pass over the middle of the football field. We've rarely seen a rarely seen Tennessee, Josh Heupel, and Nico Iamaleava push the football down the field. Like they're not taking shots at all. And I feel like the defense is packing in. Apparently, they got caught off guard by the 3-3-5 that Arkansas played last night. Well, something's catching them off guard because the last 6 quarters, they don't look like the same football team at all. And I think Heupel's trying to protect Nico's confidence, and I don't think Nico's got a whole lot of help around him between his wide receivers and his offensive line, and they got to figure it out. Something's got to give here.
They definitely do. Now, let's be fair here. The wide receivers were extremely banged up last night, or got banged up. We'll put it that way. Squirrel obviously got knocked out on um, did a huge second or third down on one of the final drives. Head hit the ground, ball popped out. Like can't really do anything about that. Dude's body went limp. Um, I think it was Brew that finished the game in a cast. Correct me if I'm wrong on that.
That I did not know that, so I have no
They said
idea.
on the broadcast, I was talking to it with Isaiah earlier. They said Brew on the final drive, Brew was in a cast, but Isaiah said that they corrected and said Thornton was in a cast later. I don't know who was in a cast, but the other one was banged up too. And pretty much they said the only receiver on the field that's perfectly fine is Brazel. Um, which that final drive, in my opinion, outside of Nico running out of bounds, which is one of the most boneheaded things of all time.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Let's talk about that entire last possession if we can before we move on to
Before we
anything
get to the
else.
final possession,
Okay.
I disagree with letting them score. I'll say it right now. I disagree with it.
I did not disagree with it at the time, but I later learned, and this is dumb, dumb on my part for not doing my research, but apparently Arkansas's kicker is a backup.
And
So
he missed one yesterday.
why not make him make the game winning field goal under pressure?
I didn't know that either.
I
But
think that's what I was told by an Arkansas.
I didn't know that either. But I mean, that just aids to my point here. The score's 14-13. It's not like our offense has been driving down the field all game long. If the score's 42-41 with a minute 30 left, let them walk in. That's fine. Be like, hey, we'll just go right back down. We'll get ball last. We'll score. We'll win. Whatever. We'll get out of here. The score is 14-13. And we scored both of our touchdowns in the third quarter on, I think, back-to-back drives. This is only two drives we've got anything going.
Mm-hmm.
When your offense has only moved the ball pretty much twice all game, what makes you think that you can go 75 yards on command with a minute left and two timeouts? I'm not pretending like I need to be paid $5 million to be a football coach, but I'd rather take the two timeouts and trust your defense that has been and not broke all game long to let them kick a field goal. And then, because we have a pretty damn good kicker, our kicker's pretty good. I would much rather try to get 40 yards and kick a field goal and still win the game because they would have been up by two at that point, as opposed to trying to go 75 with two timeouts when which you've seen it, our coach is known for not really being a great clock manager either. I mean, we let 18 seconds run off the clock after Thornton made that big play. We didn't take a timeout. Clock stopped at 35 seconds. Next time it stopped at 17.
Yeah, I don't.
They scored from the 9 yard line, is what I'm saying. You have two timeouts. Nut up because your defense has all game long, especially in the red zone. Nut up, use your timeouts, force them to a field goal, and get in field goal range. I just don't agree with letting them score there. I really don't. And like I said, if it was 42-41, I'm all for it. If your offense is clicking, absolutely. You know, as anybody else does, Nico threw for 158 yards and 45 of them came on one play on that final drive. That was the only play that we had success throwing it down the field. And it was a halfway busted play.
Yeah, it was a broken play. I could see Thornton wide open down the field, and I was screaming, "Throw the football!" And he barely got it to him. I'm glad he did, but yeah, whether we let him score or kick the field goal or not, the clock mismanagement by Heupel, and it's on him. He's standing on the sidelines next to an official. He can call timeout. There was two instances where he didn't call timeout and he should have. One was on that a completed pass, or I think Nico ran the football. I'm sorry, Nico ran the football, came up short of the marker. They ended up getting the first down out of it. I get that. Um, they should have called a timeout there and saved some time there. They let several seconds run off the clock there. The next one was on that completed pass to Thornton down the field, and they caught it with 31 seconds when they didn't snap the ball till 18. Like, why not call a timeout right there? Because you got to run a long ways to get to the football. It's not like they had to go down there and spike it. Call a timeout, and you look at him. I wish there was footage. I'm sure there's footage of this. I guess you may have saw it on TV, but I could see Josh Heupel on the sidelines yelling out to the team, "Let's go. Call a timeout. What are you doing? You're standing right there. Call a timeout and get these guys reorganized."
The point the announcers made was that Arkansas's defense was sucking air,
I don't
extremely
disagree
cat.
with that.
Not, I don't either. But at some point, like you've got to just bite the bullet and take the time out and draw something up. It don't matter how tired they are if you don't have a play to run.
Exactly.
Like
I said this in the I don't know where we were it was last night or this morning. The days are running together because we were up late last night. We needed time, not timeouts. And did we go to the house with a timeout in our pocket? I can't remember.
no,
Or did we use the last one? That's right.
no, we burned one because the play clock was about to run out.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, like you.
Early.
No, well, yes, but we did on the final possession too.
Correct.
Yeah, like after that whole debacle, we're about to get a delay game, so Heupel calls one of those timeouts. I don't know if I can't remember if it's the last one or not. It's like you let that happen, but you don't use one after the big play.
So
It's
here's some more clock mismanagement. This is from previous drives, not the final one. So the two previous drives before this, we have the ball, and not the first one. I'm saying that we should have milked the clock away, but you could have helped your cause. But we had the ball near midfield, maybe even past midfield, barely, just a few yards. And we had a short 3rd and 5-ish, maybe 3rd and 6, maybe something like that, maybe 3rd and 4. And we ran it. I'm not against running the football on 3rd and 5 or less. That's not what I'm saying. But it was it goes back to what we were talking about. Ultra conservative. You're in the middle of the field. You're not in field goal range. You pick up a first down, you're burning more clock, you're moving closer to field goal range, and you put all the pressure on Arkansas at this point to either drive the length of the field or get the ball back and go score a touchdown with a backup quarterback. More than likely, not the percentages say it's not going to happen. But we run the ball on 3rd and 5. We're in no man's land. We take a delay of game penalty and punt it. All right, we pin them back. They don't do anything, and they end up punting it. We get the ball back, run it on first down, throw it on second down to whether he should have caught it or not to Squirrel White and was injured. He dropped it. He didn't catch it. Then we threw it again. Well, why are we throwing the ball backed up in our own territory, but not throwing it when we're in prime, fantastic, put them away field position? But we're backed up with our backs against the wall and we're throwing it with a quarterback who has not been throwing the ball very well the last 6 quarters. I didn't understand that. We ran no clock in that situation. I know this team isn't built on time of possession, and that's not what I'm saying, but at this point in the game, the clock was kind of Tennessee's friend, and we didn't act like it. We acted like it was our enemy a couple different possessions before we got the ball back when we fell behind. And we still, those last 3 possessions was a total cluster, just a total cluster from a play calling standpoint. It didn't look like they were very well prepped for the 2-minute drill. They looked disorganized. They looked panicked. Um, I kind of felt really good, Harbin, when they got the ball where they did. I was like, man, we've played like crap all night long and we just pushed the ball down the field. We're going to have 3 or 4 shots at the end zone from, I don't remember what yard line we were on. It wasn't very far. I've seen teams score a touchdown in that situation from further out. Alabama last year against Auburn. Um, we were in prime position, 4 plays to take shots at the end zone or at least get another first down and take another shot with your full playbook out in front of you. And we ran like 2 plays. 2 plays. It was terrible. Just unbelievable. Unbelievable.
frustrating.
Very
Very
frustrating.
frustrating. Um, but like I said, this was a trap game. It's when it comes down to it, you just got to take it on the chin and move on because You've still got everything in front of you. You can be mad about this, and hopefully this team uses it as fuel. Now, I talked about the trends. We have to go to Athens and to Vandy. That's our last two road games of the season. Um, Now, if you want to look at the rest of the conference is still wide open. There's one undefeated SEC team left, and it's Texas. This upcoming weekend, they got the Red River rivalry. It's in Dallas. Then after that, they have Georgia at Vandy. Still got to play Florida at Arkansas as well, Kentucky, and at Texas A&M. The odds of them running the table are decent, not great. Okay. You look at Alabama that just dropped one to Vandy, which we haven't even touched that.
No, we
We're
have
not going
not.
to spend much time on it because why can we?
We got our own problems, right?
Exactly. If you look at Alabama's schedule, South Carolina this week in Knoxville, they play Missouri at LSU, at Oklahoma, and Auburn. There's still potential for at least one more loss right there. And then Georgia, who bounced back this weekend, they beat Auburn. Didn't look phenomenal, but they handled business, won by 18. They play at Texas. We got Florida. Are they still playing that in Jacksonville?
Yes, as of this year, I believe yes.
And then they play at Ole Miss, and they have Tennessee at home. No guarantee they win all of those. It's almost pretty good chance that they drop one more of those. Then you have Ole Miss, who's kind of the wild card of the group. They've still got to play at LSU, Oklahoma at home, at Arkansas, Georgia, at Florida, and Mississippi State. We've seen with them, they can beat anybody, they can lose to anybody. And then the biggest wild card of the group, who I don't think's as good as what people think they are, is LSU, which they could screw everything up. And like you said at the beginning of the season, it feels a lot like 2007.
Hmm.
LSU has Ole Miss at home, at Texas A&M, Bama at home, at Florida, and Oklahoma at home. We have only scratched the surface of this SEC schedule. The only thing we need to be worried about is kicking the shit out of Florida and getting back on track. The last episode we did, I said the most important game of the year was at Arkansas, and we lost. Whatever, throw it in the back of your head. In this new poll, we're number 8, which the AP poll doesn't matter when the playoff rankings went up. And quite frankly, rankings don't matter this early in the season anyway. But in front of you, you still have Florida and Alabama at home, Kentucky at home, Mississippi State at Georgia. You got one cupcake, maybe two. I can't remember. And you have at Vanderbilt. Everything is still laid out there for you. You have to go and figure out after this loss at Arkansas if you're going to go this way or if you're going to go that way. And I want them to be challenged to go that way. I do. Hopefully, this was a shot in the arm of, all right, we're going to have to lock in. Because, like you said, Dylan Sampson said, we're kind of lackadaisical. We didn't really treat things that serious. But Keenan Peely at the same press conference said, I don't think we're lackadaisical. I think we were fairly prepared during the off week. That may be an offense versus defense problem because the defense didn't look bad. But the sky is not falling. I've bitched for 40 minutes at this point. The sky is not falling whatsoever. This loss at Arkansas hurts really bad. This was Sam Pittman's first damn close win. It's definitely his first big win at Arkansas. Um, so yeah, it stings. They stormed the field. They played Rocky Top to Marcus. That's what you get when you only put up 14 on the road and you're the number 4 team in the country. If you don't like it, score more points than they do, and it won't happen. Use that as fuel when you play Florida next week or this upcoming week. Use that absolute egg we laid in Ben Hill Griffin last year as fuel against it. Use it all as fuel. Like if you're an upperclassman, you've played Florida 3 times at this point. You've seen it. Use it. Beat the hell out of them. Get the momentum back and get back on track. If you go out there and beat the hell out of Florida, all is right in the world. Most people will pretty much forget about the Arkansas game if you just take care of business against Florida. Because guess what? Alabama's coming to town with one loss too. And that kind of feels like a semi-desperate game for both programs. If we both take care of business the week before, which I don't want to get ahead of myself on that one. But all is right in the world if you just take care of business and you come out with a fire under your ass against Florida. That's just all it is to it. Like stuff's going to happen during the season. It's not about what happened, it's about what you do after it. I'm off my soapbox.
I agree. I mean, just looking at the schedule ahead, I don't feel let me start over. The only game I don't feel or have a whole lot of confidence in winning is the Georgia game, and that's simply because it's at Sanford Stadium. The others, I'm going into those games thinking Tennessee should win or have a very good shot at winning, and even Alabama. I mean, they lost to Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's had a couple nice wins this year, but they've also had some bad losses. And I think Vandy's probably better than they normally are. That's not saying a whole lot, but Tennessee should have every opportunity in the world to win every game. I don't have a lot of confidence in that Georgia game. My confidence is still very high that we beat Florida this weekend. After seeing Alabama play the past couple of weeks, my confidence has grown in that Bama game. I'm not saying we win it. I picked us to lose that game earlier in the season, but I feel like we got as good a shot as anybody to beat that team. And then Kentucky, they're going to be tough, but I think we're better than them. Mississippi State's bad. UTEP's bad. I think we should beat Vandy. I don't care that they beat Alabama. That was maybe a one-off thing. Good for them, but we should still beat them. If you go out and win all those games and lose to Georgia, you're probably going to the playoffs at 10-2. I mean, just look around college football right now. It's chaotic. So, like you said, go out there. They got to get rid of this starting tomorrow. They got to get rid of it. And they got to figure out a way to play better football, especially on the offensive side. Whether that's they need to run the ball better than they already are, take pressure off of Nico, figure out how to connect on some downfield passes, stop throwing it sideways every play, and let's loosen these reins up a little bit. Let's let these let's let these boys play a little bit on the offensive side. I don't care if he throws a pick over the middle. I don't care. But you can't complete a pass over the middle if you don't throw him. I'm okay with him throwing a pick or two over the middle if he's trying to fit it into coverage or he's trying to make a play. But we've seen, Garantano's over the middle interceptions were just boneheaded back in the day. Um, you can throw an interception and it not be a boneheaded play. Sometimes the defense makes a play. But we're not even trying right now. So they got to figure that out. They got to take the reins off a little bit, I think. Hopefully they will. I like Josh Heupel. I think he's a great football coach. But like you said, he's got some flaws and he's got to go to work on them. Thank God we're at home for the next month. I mean, we are. We don't go on the road until mid-November. And that's awesome. But we got to take advantage of it because, like you said, we're a different team at home. Well, let's take advantage of it. Let's see. Let's see if we're a better team at home. Let's see if we coach and play different this coming weekend because we're better than Florida. And I'm telling you right now, if we go in there and play like that this weekend, that mental block is going to come up with that stupid alligator logo on the other side of the field. That mental block in my head, your head, and the players' heads is all going to come up. And we're going to be staring another lot. We cannot lose to this Florida team. If we don't beat this Florida team this year, I this show next week might be one for the ages. I promise you, it will be one for the ages if we do not beat Florida this coming weekend. This is a must. Every game now is a must win in my eyes. They have to win this game Saturday. They've got to play better. If you lose, there's no excuses. There's no excuse for losing this football game. Put Florida out of their misery. I'm done.
That's all there is to it. I mean, that's what it is. Josh Heupel, you've had 3 straight weeks away from the friendly confines. You're finally back. You get a little revenge game when we have the upper hand. Go take advantage of it.
I agree.
That's, I mean, there's not really much else to say about that.
There's
And
not.
because
Sorry, go
that
ahead.
place is going to be ugly.
Yeah.
I mean, they already messed up giving us a night game for Florida. That place is going to be very, very rowdy, which is good for us, obviously. I'm not
Yeah.
like it's not. But let us get down a score or two early.
Uh-oh.
That, ooh, boy.
I was listening to another podcast before we got on the airplane this morning. If they come out and play like this again, you're going to hear those murmurs in the crowd. And I think Basilio may have said this last night. You may start, I know it's quick, but you may start losing people. Bad quarterback play leads to that.
Which is bad on our fan base part.
Yes, I agree, but that's the reality of it.
No, for sure. Uh, just let me paint this picture for you. Okay.
Okay.
Night game, place is absolutely going ballistic. Okay. Let's say Florida gets the ball first and they go 3-and-out, just for shits and giggles. We get the ball, we move it a little bit, we end up punting. Okay. Let's say they go, let's say they get a big play and they score 7-0, second drive. Let's say we get one first down and then it's 3rd and 4, or not 3rd and 4. Let's say it's 3rd and 8 on our own 42, and we throw a wide receiver screen that loses 2 yards,
Or we run it.
or that too. Imagine some of the things that you will hear from people within 3 or 4 rows of you.
Or on my row. Or on
That
my row.
like
No,
it
you're
like
right. You're right. It'll start. That's where it'll start.
like the pardon my take guys. Um, they have a bit that they've done for years. They have a joke where it's like, is this a must win or a can't lose? Which one is it? Which one is it for Josh Heupel this week? It's a must win, in my
I
opinion.
think it's a must win.
Like you can't lose it, but it's more important to win it.
Yeah.
I know that sounds so stupid, and that's part of their bit, but you you got to win. In my opinion, you got to win convincing. Like the line was 20. It dropped to 15 after we lost. Uh,
Hmm.
you got to at least win by 2 scores.
But that's still three scores.
No, I know, but they are not good,
They're not.
and we have to exercise those demons. Like we have to prove to ourselves that we can consistently beat them at home because we did 2 years ago. We have to prove to the fan base and the program that we can consistently beat Florida at least when it's in Neyland Stadium. And we can worry about at Florida next year.
Well, I say this on here. This is my last talking point. I'm tired. I need to go to bed because I've got another travel day tomorrow. But I say this all the time. Tennessee, if they want to get where they're going, they got to win games like the Arkansas game. Well, they didn't do it. Well, they got another opportunity right here in front of them. Good programs bounce back after losses like they just experienced on Saturday. So this will say a lot about where this program is. This is the first real adversity they faced this year. So we'll see how they respond. Heupel's teams have usually mostly responded fairly well, I think, but this is a big chore for them. I know Florida's not who they usually are, but they still have Florida on their helmet. So, and it's a rivalry game. So this is a big weekend for Josh Heupel in Tennessee. Harbin, will you be there Saturday?
Of course I will.
Good. I will be too. We'll be tailgating in G10. Haven't decided what time we're getting there yet. I got to work on all the details this week, but if you're down there, come see us. We're probably going to try to hit up a new location in G10, same level but opposite side. We're going to try something else out. Weren't real happy with the setup a couple weeks ago for Kent State. So if you're down there Saturday, holler at us, come by and have a chocolate milk with us. We might have some food for you to snack on. So come by and see us. Harbin will be there. I'll be there. And several others will be there. Any closing thoughts before we wrap this up, Harbin?
But yeah, I've got a couple. One, what's your final score prediction?
Well, that's changed in the last. So I thought Tennessee would win against Arkansas by 20. I said it yesterday. I asked Kevin Griff when we were walking. I was like, "Why are y'all so worried?" Like, I think Tennessee's a better football team. I think this will be a tight game for a little bit, and we'll end up winning by 17 or 20. Didn't happen. I think Tennessee's probably two and a half, three scores better than Florida right now. They're not playing like it, but I still think I'm going to say Tennessee covers this line and wins by 17. My confidence isn't shaking in them. I'm a little concerned, but they can snap out of it. I think they got the pieces to do it. I think, or at least I'm trying to convince myself they do, but I think they cover.
If we're any good, we win handedly. That's how I look at it. If we
Yes.
don't, the panic button gets a little bit closer. If we lose, you may tickle it. Um, but I don't think that's the case. 31-13 is my prediction. I don't think it's super high scoring, what we're kind of used to with home games. I think it's going to be ground and pound. I don't think they're going to get much going. Um, I think it's going to be very, yeah, I think it's going to be semi similar to the Oklahoma game. Like the score may look closer than what it is. Like the last episode we did when he was talking about that Tennessee, Georgia, or I think it was Tennessee, Georgia, what he was talking about, Philip Fulmer, where the score
Yes.
didn't look that bad, but it was just an absolute dog walking.
Yes.
That's kind of what I expect. I mean, you make it to this level as a player, you have pride. And I think their pride's on the line in this game, especially with being a rival and after the egg you just laid. And I think they're just going to physically, I don't want to say dominate, but physically beat them down. So 31-13, and it's not that close. That's my honest prediction if we have a pulse. That's just how I look at it. Um, but you've definitely got to clean some stuff up, and it starts at the offensive line. You know,
Let's
if the pass protection's not any better than what it was at Arkansas, we don't have a prayer scoring 31. But
I'll leave you Harbin with a stat here. You were going back to, what you were, our road games under Heupel. Charlie Burris tweeted this several hours ago at Charlie_Burris. In the entire Josh Heupel era, Tennessee has scored less than 20 points 7 times, all losses. 5 of those 7 losses have been 3:30 p.m. or later games. The other 2 were against Georgia. Heupel has a major problem with not road games. This is simply true until he proves otherwise. Um, Someone commented here that everyone has problems with not games in the SEC. That's not totally wrong. It's tough to play on this road or in this conference on the road, especially at night. But that stat right there kind of backs up what you were talking about earlier. He does have a problem. 3:30 or those twilight games or night games. He's got a problem with them, but we'll see if he can figure it out. We don't have to worry about those road games for a while, so we can kind of flush that and forget about it. But um, I just saw that while we were talking here.
backs up what I was saying. I did not see that for the record.
Yeah, it was several hours. It looked like it was way earlier today that he tweeted that. So that's good tweet on his end. Well, Harb, appreciate you waiting on me tonight. We got stuck in some traffic. We flew into Nashville from Fayetteville and got stuck in some pretty bad accident on the way back in Roane County. Coming home tonight, and it put us way behind schedule. So appreciate you waiting on me. Needed to get this one out because I'll be on the road for 3 or 4 days this week. Won't be able to really do much recording. So appreciate you coming on. We'll be down there Saturday. Big tailgate. We got to wipe this from our mind and get ready for next week. Appreciate everybody watching this on YouTube. We've had some really good numbers on there lately. So thank you guys for watching. And if you listen, thank you there for listening too. You can find us on Spotify, uh, Apple Podcast, and on the YouTube. And if you're watching on YouTube, hit that like and subscribe button. I don't know which side it's on when I record, but it's down there somewhere. Like, subscribe, leave us a comment. We'll try to respond. I check in on them every now and then. So, um, but share it too. Share this. That's how we get the word out. Share the podcast. But appreciate everybody listening. Harbin, are you good? Did you get everything off your chest?
Yeah, yeah, I'm laser focused on the Gators.
Hey, I was laser focused on Arkansas, and I do want to give a shout out. I know I said it earlier, but their fans were very hospitable all weekend. Hardly heard any bad words toward us, except a couple, like I said, a couple jackass college students. But that happens here in Knoxville. But very hospitable, couple good tailgates we were at. Appreciate those folks having us there in Fayetteville, and met some good people there. Might have met some people that we can get on the podcast later on down the road, Harbin. So working on a few leads there. Stay tuned. But yeah, I hung out with some pretty cool people there in Arkansas. Hopefully one day we can return the favor. Maybe next year. I don't know. We hadn't seen the schedule yet, so who knows. But appreciate everybody listening. Harbin, if you're good, I'm good. Peace out. Hang 10. Uh get some rest, get refocused this week. See you guys at G10. See you guys in Neyland Stadium. Thanks for listening. And you've been listening to the Section YY8 podcast.